Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of What's Flowering Inside My Indoor Garden, and this time for the months of June and July. I hope you enjoy the beautiful blooms that I have at the moment. Some of my plants will not be in full glory because you are watching this video when I'm not here or what I mean is I'm not in the UK. Why? I've traveled to the tropical lands of Brazil to visit my family that I miss so much, and I let some videos recorded, hopefully all of the ones that you need to see and watch before I return to England. I hope these plants are surviving as well. But today we will actually talk about what I had in bloom, all of my blooms for the month of June, and most of my plants that bloomed in July. What happened to my collection is that I have many on-seasons intergenerics. They are spiking or they start opening some buds, but I hopefully, fingers crossed, to be able to cut them in a better shape when I'm back. And also I have some cattleyas that are also pushing out flower spikes. I hope to see these in bloom as well. So I couldn't catch any of those, but I was able to catch most of my Phalaenopsis in bloom. And believe it or not, there are many Phalaenopsis in bloom. This is my official Phalaenopsis season because I have not only Polychilous Phalaenopsis in bloom, but I have as well all of the other complex hybrids and like miniature Phalaenopsis. They are all with spikes or in full glory at the moment, which is very bizarre. It never happened like that. It's the first year that I have all of these Phalaenopsis in bloom in the middle of the year, but it happened and I can't complain because I love these plants. So I will start with everything that's not Phalaenopsis, not a lot, just to let you know. And the rest of the video will be focused on Phalaenopsis orchids. I decided to split the Phalaenopsis around size. So we will see first of all some of the ones that bloomed first and were like smaller or compact type of Phalaenopsis. Then I will go to the middle-sized one until the Polychilous type of Phalaenopsis. And that's how I decided to organize it this time. It has no logical reason. It's just a way for me to decide what to show you. Enough blab, let's go straight into my beautiful flowers. Let me know which one is your favorite down below. I always love to hear what you think. The first orchid that we have in here is my ROC Xinfeng White Charm. And I'm sure you've seen this plant here before if you follow me on YouTube, because I love this cattleya and I have a ton of other videos around this one. It's a simple cattleya with very typical fluffy flowers. And not only that, they are all white with just some yellow towards the center of the lip. This plant had a very weird, let's say, display this time, which was growing out of its pot. So the growth came all out of the pot, and I was supposed to have 2 different flower spikes because I had 2 new growths this time around. However, someone tripped on the plant. It was very close to the window, so someone wants to open the window and just destroy the second spike. I had only one this time, but this one pushed out 3 beautiful and large flowers. I was so busy in the month of June that I almost didn't catch it in full glory. These flowers were already almost spent when I managed to film it. Nonetheless, I still caught it on camera. I know that they are out of the pot, but that's super fine. My plant apparently is not suffering that much. These plants are epiphytes, so they can grow out of the pot. Their roots can attach to different surface. The only problem is that I don't have time to keep hydrating the aerial roots, and sometimes my environment can be quite dry for these roots. But more than that, the plant is doing super fine. I might have to repot it at some point, but I didn't manage to do it this time. I will definitely try when I'm back, and I hope to have more beautiful flowers in the future, and I honestly hope this plant will rebloom for me yet again. Now I have here my darling Cattleya Sagaric Wax African Butte. So this one is definitely a beauty. What I can tell you about this Cattleya is that the flowers are breathtaking. This one blooms once a year for me. It is one of these super gorgeous Cattleya that will have a very matte red flower. When you look into the camera, it looks like a little bit purplish, I would say, but it's not purple. I think it's more towards like a dark red, burgundy tone of color with a purple lip. What I love about these flowers is that they are a bit different. They are not super fluffy like other Cattleyas, but they are thick, waxy, as the name suggests, and it actually has this sheen on top of it. And I am crazy about the color and the display. Healthier these plants gets, older it gets, more beautiful it is becoming. So I think last year I had 3 flowers, if I'm not mistaken. This year I have 4, and I think the other growth will push out a flower spike for me as well. So I might have more Cattleya flowers this season. Unfortunately, I will not be able to enjoy it until the end when the flowers are spent, because I will be away for 3 weeks. This plant stays in bloom for around a month, I would say. It's not the shortest lived Cattleya flowers, but a month is, I think, the maximum that this plant will go. Nonetheless, I still were able to film it, to cut all of the buds fully open, which was very rewarding. I love when I wake up in the morning and look at these flowers. The color behind the sunlight, it is something else, something from another world. So definitely this is one of my favorite plants this month. I'm already telling you what I think. I love it. Every year when it blooms for me, I'm always super happy to see these flowers. The next one here is my beautiful Paphiopedilum Mrs. White. This Paphiopedilum is one of those that you will see in bloom over and over again in this channel, because it's one of my most reliable Paphiopedilums. It's one of the quickest ones out there. If you want to have a Paphiopedilum that will bloom and rebloom for you, and that you just need to offer the same care that you offer to other Paphiopedilums, they are not finicky with light, they don't require extra humidity. You just need to pot them up in a potting mix that will retain humidity, and these should do it. They don't like to be extremely dry, but if you keep the roots kind of humid or water when it needs water, it will keep growing, pushing out new funds. And it just had a flower not long ago. The other growth pushed out a second flower, and here I have this Paphiopedilum that it has been bloomed on and off for many months this year. And I love these flowers. I've showed you many times before the fact that a super large and white flower, it's really cute with this massive pout. I've been missing my Paphiopedilums for one reason and another. They are more slower than usual. I had to repot some of them, I changed locations, so a few things happened, and I had pests as well. But I'm happy that this one is always making up for all of the other Paphiopedilums, so I can't complain. On top of that, it's one of these Paphiopedilums that will have some mottling in its leaves as well. Now, let's go to the next plant and the last one before I showed you all of my beautiful Phalaenopsis. The next plant is a Zygopeptilum, and here I have my green flowers. This is not the only plant with green flowers in my collection. I do have some others, but every time that I see the Zygopeptilum in bloom, it makes me so happy to see something wild and exotic and a bit different from other orchids as well, because I love my Cattleyas and Phalaenopsis and Oncidians, but I like to have some variety. That's why I decided to collect orchids, because we can actually find so many different genera of orchids out there, and Zygopetalum is another one. This one is the impasto green Zygopetalum. I think it's probably a commercial hybrid, but nonetheless, it requires the same care than any Zygopetalum would require. It's very much thirsty. It's one of the thirstiest orchids that I have in my collection. It is potted in a pot full of moss. It has a ton of roots and so many different directions of growth. So I need to keep an eye on the root system and keep watering it, specifically now that it's summer. It gets a bit more difficult to look after it. This Zygopetalum specifically needs a super bright light, so it is closer to the brightest window in my house, and blooms multiple times a year from different directions of growth. As I just told you, the thing about Zygopetalums is that the flower spike will emerge near the growth, not exactly in between the leaves, like in the case of Oncidiums and Oncidiums intergenerics. You notice a growth sprouting, and you're gonna have a flower spike sprouting very close to the growth as well, as you can see here. What I love about these flowers, not only the different shape, but the fact that I have this super bright lip that contrasts with the green of the flowers. I think that is amazing. What I dislike about this plant is the fragrance. I don't like Zygopetalum fragrance. It makes me sick. I don't like to be very close to it, especially now that it's in full bloom. It has more than one flower spike, and they all have many flowers, which I think is great. It's amazing to look at, but it's not amazing to feel the fragrance. For this reason, it sits in my living room, but I don't place it very close to myself, so I don't get sick with its fragrance. You might like it if you like strong fragrance, especially, I don't know, kind of spicy, strong, sweet fragrance. It's definitely not for me, but the flowers are up there. I love it. It's just a super large plant, so be aware you need space for it. So now we start with Phalaenopsis, and the first one here is a simple no ID Phalaenopsis that I bought locally because of the color of the flowers. Every time that I see a mini Phalaenopsis that has different flowers, it always leaves me with some curiosity. It always intrigues me, and I always want to bring them home. I not always do. I don't do it always, but sometimes, from time to time, I bring a new Phalaenopsis. To be honest, I don't think I've done this year, so when I come back from Brazil, it's gonna be the time. But anyway, this Phalaenopsis is one of those that I missed its prime. As you can see, there are some flowers here that are not great anymore. I lost some flowers as well. It's one of these compact Phalaenopsis that will push out flower spikes with tiny or very small flowers compared to most Phalaenopsis that we see locally. What I enjoy about this plant, it's not only its size, because it is compact, but more than that, definitely the flowers, is the color combo of the flower. The fact that it's this orange with purple, I think the contrast is amazing. It's like some sort of coral type of color. I don't know how to explain exactly how to name this color. Like salmon, coral, something like that, with a dark pink lip. I offer the same care that I offer to all of my Phalaenopsis. And the great thing about this one is that I reported, I think in the end of last year, and it already pushed out a spike. It's blooming for me for the past 2 months, I guess, at this point, and it's looking great. And bonus, the plant grew a lot since I reported, so I'm very happy with it. The next one is one of these Phalaenopsis that we find almost everywhere, at least here in Europe. It's what I think it might be the Phalaenopsis Sogo Sakura. If you watched one of my last videos when I was talking about identifying Phalaenopsis, I told you that I will never know for sure if it is the Soko Sakura or not, but it's definitely very similar to it. This is the smallest orchid in this video. This orchid never grew very much for me, like in terms of size, and I don't think will never will. It's larger than when I bought it, but it will not become a medium-sized or even large Phalaenopsis, which is great. It is definitely very compact. It's capable of pushing many flower spikes. I have this time 2 beautiful flower spikes, and this one has a different tone of pink. It's one of that, let's say, lavender type of pink, and the flowers are all like round shaped. I've never identified any sort of fragrance. I think people buy this plant more because of the fact that it's a multifloral Phalaenopsis that will push out beautiful and cute flowers. The color combo is really nice. It's like, I would say it's like cute. Trying to find a word for it. But yeah, I think this plant in general is a very cute plant more than anything else. It is definitely a reliable bloomer. She blooms for me every year. And looking into my old videos, I could see that bloomed last summer as well, different from other Phalaenopsis. So there is a pattern here. For any reason, this one decided to bloom during summertime. But it is possible that it will bloom again when these flower spikes are gone. So let's go to the next Phalaenopsis. This one is a commercial hybrid. I think this one is called Phalaenopsis New Life. And this is one of these type of Phalaenopsis that you also find locally in garden centers and supermarkets. That's exactly where I found mine. And I bought this plant last year, I think, as well, because one of these multifloral type of Phalaenopsis that will push out a ton of tiny flowers, and they are gorgeous. Unfortunately, this time around, I was not able to capture it in full glory because it was still opening its buds when I managed to film this plant. I discovered its commercial hybrid just looking online with Google, searching online. I discovered that this commercial hybrid will have like these white flowers, white and small flowers. And when you look at the back of the flower, you can see that it has some sort of purple, pinkish color, which makes this plant so cute. This is similar to another plant, the first Phalaenopsis that I showed you here. The flowers are very small, but the plant is more towards the medium-sized type of Phalaenopsis. It's capable of growing. The leaf span will become a bit larger as it ages, but the flowers are very, very tiny and it pushes out many flowers at the same time. The next one is one of the best findings that I had last year. It's my Phalaenopsis Sogo Ginger Glum. I bought in a local supermarket as well. This one came to my house full of thrips and I didn't notice. I just noticed that I was a bit stressed at the supermarket. Anyways, free of thrips now, which is great because the flowers, they are looking much better than when I bought this plant. It's the first time that this plant is actually blooming for me since I acquired it last year. It was very stressed and the leaves are a bit smaller than what they should be. So this plant is definitely capable of much more than what it's doing right now. I'm very happy that it finally pushed out a spike. I wasn't expecting it this year. I thought it would skip until next year because I reported very close to winter time. What I love about this Phalaenopsis is not only that this is compact, the flowers are not as small as the previous flowers, but it is not a large Phalaenopsis either, and I love the color combo. Although it's a light tone of yellow, it is a warm tone of yellow, and that's the tone of yellow that I particularly enjoy. It has this orange lip and a white center. If you look at the flowers, you're gonna see that's full of freckles, which is very, very cute as well. It has no fragrance whatsoever. And I'm just offering the same care that I offer to all of my Phalaenopsis. The only difference is here is that this one is in a self-watering pot, but I only water it when the mix is completely dry and I notice that this plant is in need of some water. So it seems to enjoy it so far. I'll keep an eye on it. I hope it bounces back and it blooms even better next year. Just because I forgot to mention the name of this plant, I mean, it is a commercial hybrid, so I don't know if I can actually identify the Phalaenopsis that looks very similar to this one. It's Phalaenopsis Sogo Ginger Glum. Next one, it's another plant that surprised me this year. It's one of the Phalaenopsis that I was the happiest to see in bloom, and it's one of my favorites here as well. And again, it's one of those that I bought in a supermarket. I have no idea how it's called, but the closest one that I found online was Phalaenopsis Fei Fun Dancing Queen. So we can sing ABBA while we admire these beautiful Phalaenopsis. Why I like it very much? For various different reasons. So first of all, this plant I bought, I don't know, maybe 4 years ago. I bought it in bloom, so I knew that I loved the pink flowers with the yellow lip, and I bought exactly because of the color combo. I think it's beautiful. I have another Cattleya that has the same type of color combo, the yellow lip contrasting with the pink, which is so nice. Not only that, but I couldn't report this plant for various reasons. I'm always prioritizing orchids that are unhealthy or that have some issues and staying in the same pot. My fault, but I was offering the same care that I offer to other orchids. What happened is these plants kept blooming for I think 2 years in a row. I was a bit worried because I was like, it is having a cool down temperature with other Phalaenopsis. It is receiving enough light, enough fertilizer. Why it's not blooming? Finally this year, it is not only blooming, but it pushed out 2 flower spikes. So patience in here definitely paid off. And I'm really happy to see this beautiful Phalaenopsis in full glory. It is so rewarding to spend all these years looking after this plant, and finally it pushes out so many beautiful orchid flowers. I am so happy with it. This plant is more like towards a medium size, I think, type of Cattleya. Is not large, it's not in miniature either. It has a typical butterfly shaped flowers, but they are a bit smaller. But again, I got it because of the color combo and I love it. Now let's go to a big Phalaenopsis, shall we? I don't have many big Phalaenopsis in my collection. I think I have only 2, I guess, or 3, and this is one of them. This is my Phalaenopsis Yan Shui Sweet Girl Shine Girl. Again, cannot confirm its ID. I bought it in a supermarket around here. Nonetheless, it is a beautiful, gorgeous Phalaenopsis. And this one is not the plant that I bought because the plant that I got had an issue with its crown. Push out a keiki, and this is the keiki that I have been growing for a while. It bloomed in January 2024 for me, when this plant should actually bloom. I don't know why it's blooming now. But then 1.5 years later, it pushed out a flower spike yet again. And this year, the spike is a bit larger than last year, which is really nice. And this plant is not as large as the mother plant was, so I can't wait to see it in full glory at some point. It is becoming a massive Phalaenopsis. I think it will keep growing for at least 2 years to have a leaf span as big as the mother plant had. The flowers are so special. That's what makes this plant one of these hybrids that people keep looking for. It's the yellow around the edges of the petals and sepals, and then you have this white center, and looks like that was probably drawn someone went by hand and decided coloring the flower. That's exactly how I feel when I look at it. You can see how nature is perfect. Even being a hybrid, we cannot actually properly paint the flower and you stay like we want, but how the genes will combine with one another and we'll be able to produce something like that is definitely amazing. And on top of that is again the same color combo that I mentioned before. The difference is that on the other Phalaenopsis was pink with a little bit of yellow, and here I have a lot of yellow and white with a bit of pink towards the center. It is one of these that I hope to always have in my collection, because mentioning and talking about Phalaenopsis that have different shape, different colors, this hybrid is definitely one of them, and it's up there in terms of beauty. I love this plant. Now let's go to the next Phalaenopsis, and here I have a beautiful Phalaenopsis that's a no ID yet again. It's one of those garden centers, flower shops, and supermarket Phalaenopsis that it is pretty large in terms of size. It's like a very tall Phalaenopsis with kind of pointy and long leaves. I think someone gifted this one to me. I'm not completely sure at this point. This plant was much smaller. This plant was very stressed in the past. So if you look down the leaves, you would see smaller leaves. Finally bounced back. It's full of roots. It's very healthy. But in the beginning of the year, it did push flower spikes. What happened with the flower spikes? They got destroyed by thrips. So this plant was severely affected by thrips. When I had the worst infestation of thrips in the beginning of the year, this plant was full of buds. Thrips were actually munching down the buds one after another one, and I had a serious case of bud blast. And this spike was basically an empty spike with a few buds here and there. What I decided to do, I decided to cut both flower spikes. I said there is no point in doing anything in here. I won't have a beautiful display anyway. And I put it in one of my shelvings and I let this plant be. I didn't expect it to bloom for me again. I treated everything for thrips. I added a systemic pesticide to all of my plant pots, and surprise, surprise, it pushed out not only one, but 2 flower spikes. And one of the flower spikes has so many flowers. So it's very cute to see, and this is definitely the best display that I have with this orchid since I repotted many years ago. So I'm not only happy because I have beautiful blooms, because also I managed to get rid of pests, and that is amazing. Although it's a no ID, I'm offering the same type of care that I offer to all of my Phalaenopsis. And the fact that this one responded with so many blooms, it's also a reminder that good care pays off. And I hope it is inspiring to you as well, that you can look after your Phalaenopsis and hopefully they will push out beautiful spikes and will bloom for you. If they skip winter this year, they might be in full glory during summertime. Who knows? The weather is a bit weird, so there we go. But I can't complain because they are beautiful. Let's go to the next Phalaenopsis in here. This Phalaenopsis is another one that took me many years to see it in bloom again. I even recorded a video years ago showing you a serious case of root rot. This was the example that I used and I reported it here with you. This plant was very slow to bounce back, but it finally did, but it hasn't bloomed for me since then. This one, it's one Phalaenopsis that I found locally in a garden center in the near Cambridge, here in the UK. Some people would say that this is a Sogo Relax. I had a Sogo Relax in the past. I don't think it is. The flower color, it is similar. The fact that the flowers are so waxy and thick, it's also similar, but I don't think it is the Sogo Relax. What I can tell you about this plant is that although the flowers are looking reddish in front of the camera, I think this one is the opposite from my Cattleya. I think this one is more like a super dark purple that will get very close to red and burgundy, but I think it's more like a super dark tone of purple. Nonetheless, the plant is beautiful. It has the same dark tone all around the flower, but it is very thick, the flowers, the petals and sepals, which for me, it's a nice surprise. And for me, one of the things that I love the most about this plant is that I found it locally. It's pretty rare to find this kind of Phalaenopsis just in garden centers, at least here in the UK. You might find them in orchid nurseries, but yeah, just local in garden centers, I don't think it's that common. So for this reason, I honestly have it very dear to my heart. And not only that, I do love the flowers. I love how leathery they look and the fact that I was able to save it. That's the most amazing thing in here. Took me again many years, but the orchid is finally doing super well. Again, I have no tag for this one. The leaves, they are not super waxy and shine like some polychilous orchids are. So I don't know if this plant was supposed to bloom when the temperature drops or if it is supposed to bloom when it gets very warm. I have to wait for it to see how it will bloom next year, since this year wasn't a typical year for me. More than that, I offer the same care that I offer to all of my other Phalaenopsis. And let's see what this plant will have for me in the future. Now we are getting to the end of the video. As I told you in the beginning, please let me know which one of those is your favorite Phalaenopsis or your favorite orchid. It's always fun to hear your stories as well about your collection. I enjoy knowing about your plants a lot, so keep me updated. And let's go to the last two Phalaenopsis here. They are both polychilous type of Phalaenopsis. I hope you enjoyed them, and I might show you these plants again for the months of August and September, because I might have a better display. As I told you, the display this year is not the most amazing one. This one is the Phalaenopsis Giajo Blueberry crossed with Phalaenopsis Violacea Indigo. This is one of these Phalaenopsis that will have this tone of purple. It's a cool tone of purple that goes towards the bluish shade. It is beautiful. It is a typical polychilous type of Phalaenopsis hybrid. It reminds me a little bit of the Violacea, but it is clearly a hybrid. This plant, it is a massive Phalaenopsis. If you look at the size of the leaves, the span of the leaves compared to my hands, I think it's that long that I could fit one hand, two hands, I think. My hand's not big, but I could definitely put two hands in one leaf. That's how large this plant is growing. It has a ton of roots. It's so thirsty. I never expected it to happen. The pot has no space whatsoever because of the amount of roots that this plant has. But this plant is capable of much more. Last year I had many more flowers than I have this year, and I think it is too early for my plant, and I know that probably in September it will have more flowers. Since I'm gonna be away and I don't know what I'll be able to capture or not, I decided to film it today and show you how my plants are doing so you can see what is happening with them. If you notice some grazings on the leaves, that is, I think, caused by neem oil. I think the oil kind of destroyed part of the tissue of the old leaves, but that's fine. The plant is doing well. Didn't affect the health of the plant overall, but I do think that was caused by oils. Apart from that old mark on the leaves, the plant is doing well. is full of spikes. Have some old spikes that I have to cut as well, that they dried out completely. And the only thing that I have to wait for a bit is to have more bluish flowers. This plant has a fragrance. It's different from the Barrina. It's more like spicy than the Barrina, I would say. It's a little bit less fruity as well. So it's a nice floral fragrance, but it's less fruity than the Barrina, and it wouldn't make you sick. It's not the kind of fragrance that you can sense if you are far from the plant. You need to get really close to feel it. But it's definitely one of my favorite polychilos, the ones that I have in my collection. I love the flower shape and I love the flower in general as well, especially the color. What I don't like is the fact that I will have to report this plant very soon and I will have to deal with so many roots, but that's amazing. My plant is super healthy. This video is very long and I know, so let's go to the last plant. Here I have my beautiful Phalaenopsis Barrina, and this one always blooms for me during summertime. Again, it was supposed to do much more than what it's doing. The plant is growing well, has so many roots, the leaves are super long. However, I have only one flower this time. I do have another bud on the way, and I have two other flower spikes that are growing between the leaves, which is okay. I don't know what happened with this plant. I think this year it was struggling a little bit. I need to investigate the roots inside the pot at some point. But again, I need to brace myself because I know it has so many roots. The Barrina is one of these plants that lots of orchid collector likes to have in their collections because it is a species. It's not a hybrid. It has a beautiful fragrance. It's one of these fragrances that it's fruity, floral, light. I do have some sensitivity and I enjoy this fragrance. It is really delightful. And not only that, it has beautiful sparkly leaves, and the leaves become so large as well over time. I have this plant since it was a much smaller species. I bought it and it was not blooming size. It became a blooming size plant pretty quickly actually. So if you find a Barrina and if that's cheaper because it's not blooming size, you can definitely buy it. Usually you don't have to wait for a long time and it will keep growing and growing non-stop, and when you blink, there we go, we have a massive Phalaenopsis for us to keep in our collection. The only thing that's worrying me a bit is that there is a flower spike coming between the crown and the second leaf. I hope it doesn't affect the health of my orchid, but I'm not sure. I'll keep you posted. So this was the last plant for this video. I hope you enjoy what was blooming for me now, the middle of summer. We still have 2 more months to go. I will definitely show you my last summer bloomers in September, and I hope you have a lovely summer holiday if where you are you have summer right now. I will be away for 3 weeks, but when you watch this video it's probably gonna be less than 2 weeks that I have away, so not long for me to see my plants yet again. If you enjoyed this kind of content, please hit the like button, leave a comment down below, let me know what you'd like to watch here, and tell me some of your stories. I hope to see you next time. Bye bye.